Hey, fifth grade. For today's poetry lesson, we're going to be reading a couple of poems about cats and dogs again. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the first one. You'll notice that they're two different documents because they're a little bit longer than the ones that we've been looking at. So we're going to go into dogs first. And actually, before we start reading, make this a little bigger. All right, before we start reading, today's poems consider the essential natures of the two major domestic pets. We humans give our cats and dogs our feelings and needs and reactions. But underneath, in their ancestries, in their blood, our dogs and cats are beasts. In two very different styles and voices, the contemporary American poet Mary Oliver and J.R.R. Tolkien, which is a British author of The Lord of the Rings, they remind us of the genealogy of our darling dogs and cuddly cats. So we're going to read dogs first. Dogs. Oh, I see another typo. Let's see if I can get in here. Okay, dogs. Over the wide field, the dark deer went running, 5 dogs screaming, at his flanks, at his heels, my own 2 darlings among them, lunging and buckling with desire as they leapt for the throat, as they tried and tried again to bring him down at the lake. The deer plunged. I could hear the green wind of his breath tearing, but the long legs never stopped till he clambered up the far shore. The dogs moaned and screeched. They flung themselves on the grass, panting and steaming. It took hours, but finally, in the half-drowned light, in the silence of the summer evening, they woke from fitful naps. They stepped in their old good natures toward us. Look, look into their eyes, bright as planets, under the long lashes. Here is such happiness when you speak their names. Here is such unforced love. Here is such shyness under courage. Here is the shining rudimentary soul. Here is hope retching the world as it is. Here is the black, the red, the bottomless pool. So this poem is about the beastly nature of the dogs, because dogs were originally in kind of a partnership with humans, and they would hunt and help them provide food. So dogs were first and foremost hunters. They helped man develop and find food sources, or to hunt down those food sources. So in this poem, they're talking about the fact that dogs, are these beasts that hunt down other animals, in this case, a deer. But then you'll notice about right here, of the summer evening, they woke from fitful naps. They stepped in their old good natures towards us. So there is where this poem takes a turn, and you realize these dogs aren't really chasing the deer and hunting it. They're dreaming about doing that. And so then she goes on and says, they step into their old good nature. So they become those lovable pets that we keep around for companionship, definitely not hunting. So they turn into those lovable companions. And then in this last stanza, she says, here is hope retching the world as it is. Here is the black, the red, the bottomless pool. And basically what she's saying here is that these cuddly pups that I love are also beasts. And so they can't really deny who they are. That they're both. They're both the cuddly pup, and their instincts also prove that they are also hunters. So then we're going to go into the next poem here. Right here. the second doc in your work. And we're going to read cat. Cat. The fat cat on the mat may seem to dream of nice mice that suffice for him or cream, but he free, maybe, walks in thought, unbowed, proud, where loud, roared and fought. His kin, lean and slim, or deep in den, in the east feasted on beasts and tender men. The giant lion with iron claw and paw and huge ruthless tooth in glory jaw. The pard dark starred, fleet upon feet, that oft soft from aloft leaps on his meat. Where woods loom in gloom, far now they be, fierce and free and tamed as he. But fat cat on the mat, kept as a pet, he does not forget. So again, it's the same concept that you have this cuddly cat who is your pet. You don't keep him around. You might keep him around to catch mice around your property if you live in the country. But for the most part, people these days keep cats for companionship, the same reason they keep a dog. And so this poem starts out, and by the way, I'm sure you noticed the very tight rhyme scheme in this poem. But this poem starts out talking about the fat cat that's sleeping on the mat and how he's dreaming of nice mice for him or cream. So again, he's a house cat. But then when we get a little further down here, where it says that, right here, where it starts talking about unbowed, proud, where loud, roared and fought his kin, lean and slim, or deep in den, in the east feasted on beasts and tender men. So here is where we're actually looking at the cat and his ancestry. And it talks about, prowling and fighting down, animals that it would have fed on. And then it talks about the giant lion with iron claw and paw and huge ruthless tooth and gory jaw. So that house cat that you love is a relative of the lion because they're both in the cat families. And then right here where it says the pard dark starred, fleet upon feet, that off soft from aloft leaps on his meat. So he's talking about how agile a leopard is, and that's what it's talking about when he says the pard. Pard is short for leopard, and dark starred is describing the marks on the leopard. And fleet on feet, we know that they're very fast. And soft from aloft, we also know that they like to take to the trees and that they jump on their whatever their prey is from that. So again, that's what it's talking about. And then at the very end, it kind of brings us back to the fact that he used to be fierce and free, but now he's tamed, and he, even though he's a fat cat on a mat kept as a pet, he doesn't forget. So that inner beastliness is still always waiting there on the surface. Okay. What I'm going to ask you to do today is to first think about the fact that your pets are those lovable pets that you keep around for companionships, but they're also little beasts. And every once in a while, if your pets are like mine, they'll reveal to you that that beast has taken over for a short amount of time. So like when I come home and I find a throw pillow from the couch on the ground with its stuffing ripped out of it, I know that that was when the beastliness came through. I don't know what was going through the pup's minds when it happened, but I can just imagine them thinking they were hunting something and they were ripping it to shreds. They were going to show it. They were going to, hunt their prey. Obviously, it's not prey. It's a couch pillow. And so, of course, then they get in trouble and then they're real sorry. And, you know, then they try and snuggle up to you. It's like it's impossible for us to ignore as their pet owners that both sides of them exist. And so think about that today as you go into one of these poems. You don't have to go into both, just choose one. But here's what I want you to do. I want you to mark what you think are its most important lines. So you're going to go up here and you're going to add a comment after you highlight what you think are its most important lines. So if let me move this for a minute. Let's say I thought this was the most important lines. By the way, it's not. I would select that, and then I would either use this comment button or this one up here. Okay? I would click here, and I would say, I think these are the most important lines, and this is why I think that. Then I want you to create 2 more comments on things that struck you. So words, phrases, and lines that struck you that you thought was funny. Maybe you thought it was interesting. Maybe you liked the way it sounded. You liked what the poet did. Or possibly things that you're confused about and you want to talk about. So I'm looking for 3 comments. One is, what are the most important lines of the poem that you choose to go in? 2 other comments are lines that struck you, lines or phrases or words that struck you, or that you're curious about, or that you just want to talk about because you noticed something or you liked it. All right. So one last thing. You know, we are writing our second poem this week, and you guys know that I wrote my first poem about my dog, Albus. So as you're picking your topic for that second poem, if you choose to write about a pet, consider this, that sometimes loving a pet isn't simple and uncomplicated. As poets, look for these moments too, when you're forced to recognize and acknowledge the beast in your favorite beast. All right, guys, when you're all finished, of course, you're going to come out here and you're going to turn it in. And it's going to actually turn both documents in, but I'll know to look into one of them and see your comments. I love and miss you guys. Don't hesitate to reach out through the private comments. If you have any questions or you need assistance, we're here for you, and we can't wait to see you in person.